Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Social Media Reacts here on Cluiche. This is episode 5. I'm Séamus Brady. We're going to look through all of the best tweets from the weekend's action. Of course, we had some huge results from across all 4 divisions in the Alliance Football League. We had the Alliance Hurling League, we had the Camogie League, and the LGFA Division 4. So social media always reacts, and the GA social media is always an interesting world to have a look into. So let's kick this off. Before we do, please like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. And let's dive right in. But before we do, I have to remind you that this is sponsored by Capture Athletics. This hoodie that I'm wearing right here, as you can see the Capture logo and the ancluiche logo, the lads sorted me out with it. Thank you very much to them. If you need any sportswear, be sure to check out Capture Athletics on Instagram at Capture Athletics. Now, let's dive in with the tweets. So we're going to start off with the first tweet. So obviously everybody was talking about Dublin versus Kerry. Dublin 318, Kerry 114. If you told me at the start of Saturday that Dublin would win that game by 10 points, I'd have you carted off to an insane asylum. But Dublin did. Now, this tweet here from Conor McKenna. He says, Dublin footballers' performance against Kerry on Sunday was an example of how Gaelic football should be played. High tempo, high pressing, attacking, attractive football, which is a joy to watch. This Dublin team have played some scintillating football at times since 2011. Definitely, true, apart from the fact that the game was on Saturday. But, yeah, genuinely, it's a good point. Dublin have played some scintillating football since 2011 when, of course, Gilroy got us to that first All-Ireland title. 2019's third quarter against Mayo was personally my favourite period of football that we've ever played. First half against Donegal in 2014 sticks out, but we won't talk about the rest of that game. 2013 was a really enjoyable year to watch Dublin as well. Since we got over the hump of winning that first All-Ireland, we have played some really good stuff at times. There's been a couple of years where it's like we kind of idolize this idea of efficiency and passing and shooting from, a percentage area of the field. We shouldn't do that. We should stick to what we're good at. And we blitzed Kerry in such a short space of time. It was absolutely awesome stuff. As Maurice Brosnan said in his tweet, 2-9 from 12 shots is just absolutely outrageous. The levels that Dublin were going to. We took every chance in the first half that was coming to us, and I did see that tweet from Maurice Brosnan, who said 2-9 from 12 shots. It's absolutely crazy. We have another tweet here from Colin Parkinson. He says, when Dublin play front foot football in Croke Park, they are awesome. That's Kerry's first 14 that are hammering. How Dublin decided to go away from aggressive football, I'll never understand, but glad they're back. It's a perfect point. I don't know why we went away from it. I think it's we got too into this idea of the percentage shot and too into this idea of not hitting any wides and not missing any chances. So we tried to make sure that the player was always taking the shot from the best possible position. And it just led to us scoring less. If you're shooting less, you're scoring less. I don't care. Put as many wide as you want, but you'd rather a team was taking shots at the post, and you will score more if you are to do that. Now, obviously, one man who lit the place up was Con O'Callaghan, but this was this funny interaction. Joe Brolly had obviously called for Con O'Callaghan to be used different. Balls.ie put up this tweet saying Con O'Callaghan in the 2 Dublin games since Joe Brolly questioned the way Dessie Farrell is using him. 7 points against Roscommon, 3-4 against Kerry, 2 Player of the Match awards. And Joe Brolly retweets it there saying, my pleasure. So, yeah, he's taking credit for it. Obviously, Con is the main man who takes credit for it, but Brolly was right. I mean, as I said, it's been like Dublin have taken the muzzle off Con O'Callaghan in the last 2 games. They've allowed him to express himself, to do his thing, which we hadn't seen from Con in a very, very long time. We hadn't seen him at his best, at his absolute best. My last time seeing him at his best, I'd say, was probably 2020 or something like that. Up until then, 2022, he was injured. Last year, felt like he was doing a Kieran Kilkenny-esque role where he was winning a lot of ball. He was moving it on to the likes of Costello and Pascal and everything like that. But O'Callaghan is one of the best forwards in the business when he's on his A game. And it seems like Dublin have taken the muzzle off him and trusted him to be on his A game. Now, we'll move on here to this next tweet. This is from Colin Parkinson. So this is about the black card in the Galway versus Derry game to Kieran Malloy. He says Malloy did not trip Baker there. He attempted to tackle the ball and put him off his stride. Another weird black card and penalty. Huge call. And I have to say, when I seen it first, my reaction was, okay, yeah, fair call. That's a penalty and a black card. Then when I actually watched it slow down, Malloy does reach to go for the ball. And it's not a cynical tackle. It was like he didn't rugby tackle him. He didn't kick his ankles. He didn't clip his ankles. He didn't drag him down. He went to punch the ball out of Baker's hand. Baker fell over. Black card. But it's the same thing. Brendan Rodgers got another black card later on in that game. Like, and then we'll move on. So no, that's not that tweet. But Brendan Rodgers did get a black card. And pretty harsh black card as well. And Parkinson was also talking about that. Look, consistency across the board. Like when Kieran Malloy gets a black card for that, but for example, Kevin Maguire didn't get a black card in the All-Ireland in group stages last year for absolutely choke slamming Con Kilpatrick when he was straight through on goal. There just is no consistency across the board. And that's why people get confused when the marginal ones are given, because it's just like you flip a coin on what the ref's going to do. Is he going to give a black card? Is he not? And that's why when they do, and when it's costly to teams get more frustrated, because it's not a hard line. It's very much up to the interpretation of the referee and what they feel like doing. And if they want to rob a team, they have the power to do so. So that's why a lot of people are, annoyed by these decisions. We'll move on to the Tyrone versus Mayo game. Of course, the star of the show was Dara Canavan. My good friend Matthew Hurley, the Gaelic stats man, he says Dara Canavan is in the form of his life at the moment. His stats across his last 4 games playing for Tyrone and Ulster University are exemplary. So in his last 4 games, he's had 19 shots, 1 goal, 14 points, 112 from play, 79% shot accuracy, and 2 Man of the Match awards. And they have been in the game against Mayo and, of course, the Sigerson Cup final. I mean, he's literally shooting the lights out. He is becoming right in front of our eyes the forward that we always knew he could be. And I mean, from under 20, Canavan was always the one to keep an eye on. His first year with the Tyrone Seniors in 2021, he's part of that All-Ireland winning side. He's very much going to be their main man for the next 10 years, maybe alongside his brother Rory. But the two of them are the future of Tyrone football. And for Dara, he's the president of Tyrone football. And the president of Tyrone football was given a massive boost by the fact that they beat Mayo. And Colin Parkinson says here, some turnaround. Why didn't Tyrone start like this? Hard to understand. All attitude. And is Mayo looked like they were on their way to a win. They get the goal in the first half from Cillian O'Connor. They look like they're on their way to almost a routine victory for Mayo in Division 1 in terms of staying up. Mayo have been so solid in Division 1 now for the last couple of years, obviously winning it last year. But Tyrone just roared back into the second half. And you do always wonder, it's the same thing of when teams are chasing the game. Why are they so strong chasing the game right up until they go ahead, and then all of a sudden they're back in their shell? It is gas when you see just how big an impact attitude has in it. So we'll move on to the next tweet here from Cara O'Kane. This is about the Donegal Armagh game. He says, a draw in Armagh, both sides remain unbeaten, strange kind of game, lacked in real top quality on a fine day, draw probably fair enough, both sides had spells of dominance, great scores from Reno O'Neill and Shane O'Donnell at the end. I mean, he summed it up pretty well there. It was kind of an arm wrestle of a game where both teams almost cancelled each other out. Donegal and Armagh both flying this year, soaring back to Division 1. The only thing that is interesting now is Meath and Cavan are the two teams that are closest to them in the chasing pack. Meath actually have Donegal left to face, and Cavan have Armagh left to face. So any result there that's against the grain could completely turn the tables on those two counties' Division 2 campaign. Because remember, there's been counties in the past that have looked to sure thing to go up and they haven't. So keep an eye on this one 100%. And it'll be interesting to see how both sides move on from that. They both have games next week where they should win. I think Donegal have Louth and Armagh have Fermanagh. So it's 2 games that they should win. Anyway, Cork got a massive win over Fermanagh. But just look at this programme. It's been highlighted by Maurice Brosnan. Favourite GA player, me. So this is the player profile with Rory Maguire. 1 minute with Rory Maguire. And if you go down to the line where he says favorite GAA player, he just says me. I mean, you love the self-confidence. Certainly, that's a unique answer from Roy Maguire. I don't know when's the last time I've seen someone put themselves down as their favorite GAA player. But anyway, Cork obviously massive win there. The late goal by Maurice Shanley getting them over the line against Fermanagh. And that's a massive, massive, massive victory. Now we'll look at this. Brian Gavin, he remarks on League Sunday. So he says, League Sunday rammed in an hour and a half to make way for the 50th showing of Mrs. Brown's Boys, etc., etc. Not enjoyable, and feel sorry for panels trying to put any sort of commentary or analysis to our games. Shocking stuff. And that is the truth, is that over the last few years, rightfully so, there's been more coverage of all of the games, and then there's been more calls for those games to get shown on the Sunday game, which means that they just don't have the time in that hour and a half slot that they used to have, or the 2 hours that they used to have, where they would only show the Division 1 games, or they'd only show the Division 2 games. Now they have to make their way down the 4 divisions, and on a weekend where you have hurling as well, and with the integration of the LGFA and the Camogie, the GAA Sunday game or League Sunday, they're going to have to show all 4 codes. They're going to have to up it. They're going to have to do individual highlight shows. They're just going to have to make more content. And it's something that I never understood. I never understood why RTE doesn't have an RTE Sport channel on TV, like a Sky Sports has, or a Sky Media, or like something that is different. A whole other channel just for the sports, and then you can put as many episodes of Mrs. Brown's Boys on RTE too as you want, because the GA is not going to interfere with that because they're on RTE Sports. That is the most obvious idea, in my opinion, out there for the GA. It's our national sport. We need to be showing it as much as we possibly can. But anyway, that's a whole other debate. I could go on about that for years. Anyway, we'll go back to my good friend Matthew Hurley. He has here some very, very interesting stats. First one is the best defence in the Allianz League 2024 after round 4. Obviously, you can see Armagh on top there, only conceding 41 points. They haven't conceded a goal yet. Donegal then with 335 conceded. Westmeath with 141. Laois level with all them on 335. Then we go down to Clare in 5th with conceding 336. Then Sligo and Leitrim tied, conceding 49 points respectively. Derry conceding 341, Down conceding 342, and Roscommon conceding 1 goal and 52 points. So yeah, very, very interesting. And the goal that Roscommon conceded was to Dublin, of course, at Croke Park from Niall Scully. Then he also has the worst attack. So Waterford at the top of that list with 234 scored in 4 games. That's 40 points. Kildare have yet to score a goal. So they have the second worst attack. They've only scored 41 points. London with 333 then. Limerick with 334. Wicklow with 142. Galway with 240, surprisingly. Meath with 145. Fermanagh with 343. Monaghan, surprisingly, in the top 10, considering they're a free-scoring team. They've only scored 441 in 4 games. And Tipperary with 248, then sneaking in the 10th spot. Then we have the best attack, completely switching it up. Down, soaring at the top with 861 scored in 4 games. That's a total of 85 points. Dublin with 565, that's 80 points. Derry with 754, that's 75 points. Kerry with 653, that's 71 points. Donegal with 361, that's 70 points. Leitrim with 7 goals and 48 points, that's 69 points. Armagh with 553, that's 68. Laois with 456, that's 68. Carlow with 650, that's 68 as well. Cavan and Longford tied at the bottom with 64 points each. Cavan with 258 and Longford with 549. And moving on to his final one, the worst defence in the Allianz Football League. Now, this one is always interesting. Monaghan have conceded the most, 86 they've conceded, 862. Waterford with 371 conceded, that's 80. Limerick with 656 conceded. Kerry in 4th with 4 goals and 60 points conceded in 4 games. It's an average. So that's 72 points that they've conceded. Wicklow have conceded 556. Cork 362. Kildare 454. Carlow 453. Offaly have conceded 9 goals and 38 points. Dublin have conceded 6 goals and 47 points. And then the final stat from Matthew, which is a really, really interesting one. And if you don't follow the Gaelic Statsman, go follow him right now. One of the best in the business. He puts up this tweet here. He says only one team has survived relegation since 2018 in the National Football League, despite losing all their first 4 games. Offaly in Division 3, that was in 2018. Currently, Kildare Division 2, Offaly, Wicklow and Limerick, all Division 3, are in this predicament. So one of those teams out of Division 3 are going to stay up. As I said on the pod, I think Offaly will be that team to stay up. But as for the other 3, Kildare are gone, Wicklow are gone, and Limerick are gone. As far as I'm concerned, I don't see any of them staying up. Final tweet then, of course, we had Jarlath Burns inaugurated as the GAA's 41st president, and a lot of goodwill has come with him. Kevin Cassidy puts it best. He just quote tweets it and says, "Our game is safe." And absolutely, I mean, I just haven't heard a bad thing really about Jarlath Burns. He seems to fit the role absolutely perfectly. And his first address to Congress, he seems to have his finger right on the pulse. So I'm very much looking forward to what he does as the GAA's new president. Guys, that has been this episode of Social Media Reacts. I've gone through all the tweets from the weekend. Do subscribe, like, comments, share, all that good stuff. Really, really helps us out on the channel. Big thank you to Capture Athletics, of course, for sponsoring this video. This hoodie is absolutely sick, and we have a t-shirt as well from them too. They'll be up on our story. So guys, that's the episode. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one,